feeling blessed. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing, my man. It was a great weekend so far. Beautiful Sunday here in Toronto. What are we at? Like, I think we're gonna creep up to like 25, 26 degrees. What did you do yesterday?
I was supposed to stay down at Port Credit yesterday, but the internet was really shoddy, so I wouldn't be able to do this morning there. Sent a couple of emails to the club there to fix it, but I've had a beautiful weekend again. Every chance that I get to be outside, that's where you'll find me. Whether it's the backyard or down at the boat club or wherever the case may be, I need to be outside at all times. So it's blessed. I'm blessed.
I think I spent Simos yesterday about 4.5 hours with the grill on low in my backyard, and unfortunately for the liver, the Peronis were going down very, very easily. You know, I'm not one to have kind of a drink by myself. I like to usually have a partner, and wifey didn't feel like drinking, and so it was so beautiful in the backyard. I think I ended up doing like 4 or 5 beers to myself because like Peronis are so light. And I had a couple of people mention it on Instagram. They're like, like, what are you gonna do? Go into a 12-pack? I was like, I can't even do a 6-pack by myself. But if I stayed out a little bit longer, I probably would have hit that. But we're live as well, my man. We're live brunch with REC, live on YouTube, live on Facebook. It's our monthly edition of Brunch with REC, what you and I do together. For everyone who's live right now and or watching the recording, always keep in mind that Brunch with REC is live on YouTube and Facebook every other Sunday. Obviously helping with the second segment is our boy Tyler Walburn, who sits down with real investors. And so we're actually, this is an ask for everybody. Like, we're looking for more investors that want to share their story. I'm sure you can remember as an investor looking at your first property, the hand shaking when you were signing off on the agreement of purchase and sale, you building a team. We're really wanting to share people's stories. This is not testimonial / infomercial nonsense. It's really just documenting people's stories and showcasing that regular guys and gals can get into investing into real estate, and you don't have to go down the path of trying to get 100, 500 doors, which is great. It's awesome. It's amazing to think that big, to dream that big. But like one property can really just change the course of your life. And I'm not talking about the principal residence. Like, that's great. That's nice. Obviously, you can build up some equity with that. But I'm talking about like one extra property, like an income property, can really, really change the course of your life, let alone if you end up getting 2, 8, and 32 doors. But again, don't forget, if you're someone that is okay to have a quick 25, 30-minute conversation just in this type of setting, Tyler is actually definitely looking for more guests, and that happens. I shouldn't have said every other Sunday. It's every third Sunday of the month, and then myself and this bald guy beside me, we go.
The good-looking one.
Sorry?
The good-looking one.
It's
that's not debatable. That's been set in stone at least twice.
The jury's, yeah, but that was 4 years ago.
We can do it again, bro. I'm very confident. Look at this.
We grew our community by a couple of thousand people in the last 3 years. So the numbers are a little off. I don't know how accurate those numbers are. But talking about numbers, I got the hot numbers in terms of stats of what's happened in the GTA. This just came out 2 days ago on Friday. And so we're going to kind of dive into that. We're going to go till about 11 a.m. Eastern, as we like to, especially on days like this here in Toronto, and hopefully wherever you're watching from, it's a beautiful, beautiful day, like it is here in Toronto. So we want to make sure everybody gets some time to yourself, with your family, with your friends.
The people spoke, Jazz. They told us to shut up. Just give us the meat. Leave out the potatoes so we can get on our way on the Sunday. Fine, yeah, that's fine. We will stop your
nonsense bantering all the time. You can tell I got my spring/summer colors on, bro. Anyways,
I brought out the vintage series. Look at the vintage series REC.
Hey, the throwback. It's called the throwback.
That was the very first Stephen Rochester design series. He did the whole wardrobe, remember?
So true, yes.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
Bomber jacket, hats, toques.
We had a full wardrobe here, like with what do you call those things? Oh man, it eludes me right now. We had like a makeshift closet in our room here, man, in our office with the toques, and we even had bomber jackets, man. We went all out. Maybe it'll be time to do something for fall. But anyways, let's dive into it, brother.
So I got them here, Jazz. I didn't have them printed, but I have them on my screen. The numbers are continuing to tell that story of a market in recovery, and I'm not sure if recovery is the right word. I think it's normalcy more than anything, because the people who are making moves are the people who need to make moves. Once again, it's not there is no inventory in the market, because unless you have to sell, you're not selling. And it's not because you're not achieving prices. It's because you either cannot get financing in this price range at 7% right now, or there's just such a myriad of reasons. Like, where are you going to go when nobody's selling? You don't have the choices that you once had. So once again, we're seeing huge uptick in activity because buyers just need to buy. They've been waiting for a year and a half. So we're seeing the return of the buyer serious in the market, not the parasitic looking for deals buyer, but regular Joes that are looking for action, and they're making their move. And the market is, 18 days of inventory across the GTA. That's the story.
Well, when you look at, and when you mentioned that not a lot of people are selling, like, we actually got the black and white numbers, right? So we're sitting here 4th, 5th of June today at the time of this recording. But if the stats that we have are going to be the ones that came out at the end of May, and if you look at overall the Greater Toronto Area for the month of May, months of inventory is at 1 month and a week and a half. Like, for a city of 6.6 million people, we're sitting at a month and a week and a half. Like, it's crazy to be sitting here in such a big metropolitan city, a world-class city. And I'm here to debate that with anybody who wants to take that on. I know we have a lot of things that we can do better here in the Greater Toronto Area, but let's just, for a second, sit back and realize how grateful we can be for all the things that is the Greater Toronto Area, and to have that many people already here in the city, and the amount of people that are coming in, and to only have a month and a week and a half, it speaks volumes. And then when you actually dive in to the micro, like, not only look at it from the 30,000 foot view, so Toronto proper, 416, essentially south of Steeles, north of the lake, kind of west of, I guess it would be DVP, and east of probably 427, that would be kind of Toronto proper. You're looking at a month and a half. But where I like to look at is some of the outskirts as well, because when Toronto proper values start to increase, you start to get this drive till you qualify effect, right? Like, okay, I can't afford the average home in Toronto being 1.1 million. Okay, so let me go out a little bit further. But when you go out further to Northwest Brampton, east into Durham, I'm not sure if you've seen this yet, Simos, Brampton.
Oh, I have. And it's terrifying. Once again, it's terrifying.
Right? Durham.
Brampton is at 1.1. And yeah, it's not Durham good. Again, like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, Durham's less than a month of inventory. And so there's only one thing that's going to happen. Basic. Supply and demand. Values are going to continuously increase. Now, what will be interesting, not sure when people are watching this, but there's an announcement happening on June 7th. So I guess that's Wednesday, right?
Wednesday.
Which will be interesting. Let's do some let's do some predictions. What's your thoughts and why? What is going to be that announcement? And the good thing is that this is being recorded, so we can go back and see actually what happened.
Yeah. So what I will predict with certainty is that there will not be a 0.5 point increase. So quote me to this: there will be either no increase or there will be a 0.25 point increase.
I want you to pick one. I'm going to pick one. I want you to pick one.
I'm going to explain both, like why I feel to both, but I will pick no interest rate hike. And that's just because of optimism, not because of logic. Because both options have strong logic behind them. So if they were to choose to keep them the same, they're not doing it to keep feeding the GTA or GVA appetite for housing. They're doing it to save the rest of Canada, who is getting punished along the major urban centers. So if they were to keep the rate the same, which means they believe that all they've done so far has brought inflation under control, they will leave it the same. Now, there was a few reports in March and April indicating that strong employment and a bunch of other factors are not bringing inflation down at the rate they wanted it to. So they were going to give it one more little poke at to just simply try to stop that consumer spending. It's also seasonal. When the sun comes out, people spend money. So they don't want that. They want it to slow down, to wrangle it under control. Inflation has come down significantly, but they are justified. They believe they are justified in one more 0.25 point increase. So
and really quickly,
I'm not sitting on the fence at all.
And I just wanted to say, when you're talking about the inflation, they want to try to get it to their target rate has always been that 2%. Just so
they're trying to get it under 3 points.
Yeah.
If they see it getting close to 3, they're on target. But they did see a slowdown because of massive employment. Like, there's just so much work. And when the sun shines and that winter blues is out, people are out in restaurants. They just do, because humans will always behave to fulfill inside. And when the sun's out, I'm sorry, you want to go for a walk, you want to get an ice cream. So you're out and about. So human behavior and circumstance of timing have something to do with it. But at the end of the day, there is a real strong argument for both sides. I'm just picking the optimistic one because of my bias in real estate, and I hope they do not put it up. What's your take?
Well, look, I mean, in my heart of hearts, it tells. I actually think they're going to leave it as well. So, but just for argument's sake, so you and I can kind of go back.
Take the over. Yeah. You'll take the over.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about why I think they might make that 0.25% increase because of the fact of all the headlines that are coming out in terms of multiple offers. And this time around, it's not just if it bleeds, it leads. Like we know, we got, what do we have? 64 realtors right now, feet to the ground. We also have the organization that we're with, Royal LePage Signature, is just north of 1,500 agents. And so we have a very, very close tie to what's happening, like actually in the resale market. And I'm going to say in the areas, obviously in Brampton and Durham, but even like in the Oakvilles and in Richmond Hill, downtown Toronto, condos, we're seeing a lot of multiple offers. And because of that, coupled with the fact that the months of inventory is so low, I have a funny feeling that the 0.25% might be justified in Mr. Tiff's head and saying, you know what, let's try to cool this down before our next announcement, which I think won't be until I think it'll be 6 weeks later. So it's going to be sometime in essentially mid to call it late July. It'll be sometime late July. And so going into the summer, I have a funny feeling that he might do a 0.25% rate increase. None of us know. Every time we've tried to forecast this, Tiff has kind of gone the other way. But I think it's justifiable in his head because of the headlines. And so to try to cool down this consumer confidence that is definitely, I mean, you were at the start saying is a recovery.
Listen,
I mean,
this is
it's
conversation, Jazz. Neither you or I are actual economists. There's people that are much, much smarter and much more inside this world with different opinions. We're looking at this, guys, from a real estate perspective, how this impacts us and how it impacts the street. Because every economist and every big ivory tower does not have a clue of what's happening on the street. And that's our advantage. So I think from a, are we economists? Are we talking jibber jabber? No, we're taking a look at how this impacts the street, and the little that we do know from how this economy kind of operates, we try to give our breakdown. But don't take this like Simos and Jazz, the economist, because that's not what we're trying to do. We do not understand the macro or the micro deep enough to be able to support a real economic decision. But as far as how these announcements impact Main Street, which is me, you, and everyone around us that are trying to make a living, that are trying to build our wealth using real estate as a vehicle, we do know. And again, it seems like both me and Jazz hope for the no interest rate hike, but we can definitely both see why it would happen if it did. So if you guys have questions, just shoot us over. We'll try to give you as much best light as we can.
I mean, we can even take live questions right now. I'm sure Nikki in the background can bring them up if anything does come up. But to your point, I actually, when you were saying that we're not economists and all that, and I completely agree, one of the main reasons, the staple of REC Canada for now coming up to 19 years has not changed. And that being that when it comes to real estate, we've always stuck with the boring path of buying and holding, and really educating and screaming at times from the rooftops, like, look, you can make money buying and flipping. You can make money doing BRRRR strategies. You can make money with wholesaling. There's a lot of those micro strategies, and you can make money doing that stuff. And we're not here to tell you not to, but our overall thesis has never changed. It's always been buying and holding. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're not trying to forecast. We're not trying to gamble with, let alone like with our own money with other people's money. And so we've always said, look, stick with the fundamentals, and the fundamentals are boring. They're not exciting. It's not sexy. I know people want to do the sexy stuff. So I don't know if it's because when they're sitting at the dinner table or when they're at a cocktail party, they can sound smarter or sound like, they made the quick buck, and then they can speak about it. But for us, if you look back in the 19 years, we've never changed our tune. It's been buy something and hold on to it. Like, close your eyes and just hold on to it. And if you're comfortable, and you want to take a little bit more risk, because there is risk involved in refinancing the property, pulling out the equity to buy more, great. If not, I mean, to everybody who's watching, who just came on, I mean, at the start, we started with, like, you don't need 57 doors. You do need one extra other than your principal residence. I'm a strong believer of that, because it can protect you against inflation. Right? It's one of the three ways. I think the other two being like really get good at a craft like plumbing and electrical work, because I think that's going to be needed forever. I don't think AI is going to be able to replace that being like robots, for example. And then number two, if you own a business, right? I think that's great. If you own a business, you can always increase your fees or the cost of the product and or service. But real estate also can protect you against inflation. You just need to be patient. It's so boring, man. Like, as I'm saying it, I'm getting goosebumps, because I wish, if there's anything that people get from these brunches, if there's anything people get from the content that we put out there, if there's I would put up us against anybody in North America in terms of consistency when it comes to content. And so it's very easy to find us and see what we've been saying for 19 years, is that, look, if you're patient with real estate, it will make you money. It definitely will make you money. It's just a matter of, did you get a little fearful and maybe sell, which brings up kind of one of the big.
Or did you get greedy and sell? Same thing.
100%, 100%. Right, which brings up kind of something that I don't think you and I really even chatted about this week, which is kind of like one of the biggest headlines that came out this past week. And I got asked about it 1,000 times on social, which was the article that came out. I can't remember who did it, so I don't want to misquote someone. The article was about Canadian investors in the GTA lose it. 50% of investors in the GTA are in negative cash flow when it comes to condos. And so why don't we just maybe touch on that for the next couple of minutes, buddy? What's your thoughts and takes?
Let's do it. Okay, so let's put out a teaser of what's to cover in the next 10 minutes, and it's difficult. I want to cover that for sure. I want to cover the report that was put out by Royal LePage Corporate, which is the biggest study on Canadian investors ever commissioned, in what the results of that were. And we'll close off with just an update on Bill 23. So starting off with Jazz's report on 50%, I think it was Blog TO. Again, I think that's where I saw it, but maybe I'm wrong. But 50% of GTA condo investors are losing money, is what the report said. Didn't say negative cash, said that they're losing money. And another article said Toronto condos are dead. Nobody's buying them. Again, headline. We have to be able to make sense out of this, out of their complete dog shit, for lack of a better word, because that's what it is. Is it true that maybe half or more people are cash flow negative in downtown Toronto? Yes. Yes. Great. But why are they not selling? So if somebody is losing money, do you think they're just a sucker for punishment? Maybe 1 in 100 are. But what do you think about the rest? Everybody is just so dumb and everybody else is so smart to point this out. They never knew that they were cash flow negative? Or is it maybe because they bought it for $450K and it's now worth $700K? And them paying $400 a month, $300, because when you bought it $450, your mortgage is only $300. Even if you're cash flow negative, you're not going to be that cash flow negative. And if you're referring to condos that were bought a couple of years ago at $1,300 a foot, and now they're trading at whatever the case may be, there could be a disparity of $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. But if you're taking 50 to 75 to 100K a year in your value because of the shortage of supply, that is a choice you need to make, whether you're keeping it or selling it. And what we see and what the market sees, real data, not opinion, no nonsense, is that nobody's selling. So if they couldn't carry them, they would sell them. If they couldn't carry them, they would default.
And one other thing to add to that, especially because majority of that, if not the whole article, was talking about projects and condo projects that probably closed within the last year. Excuse me, how they got that data, even if they went out 2 years. Heck, even if they went out 4 years. And the reason I'm saying 4 years is because what we are also seeing is that rents have shot through the roof. In fact, not only has it now got back to pre-pandemic numbers for, and we use kind of one bedroom as the benchmark. What is a one bedroom condo going for in downtown Toronto? We were seeing 2,400 before the pandemic. Probably saw that drop to 1,850, 1,900 off the top of my head during the pandemic. We rented
1,700 during the pandemic.
There you go, right? It's now surpassed even 2,500 in a lot of buildings in downtown Toronto. But that point of 4 years or whatever it may be in terms of when people bought these or closed on these, not bought them, when they actually closed on them, they can increase the rent to market rent as long as it was built after 2018. And so people just haven't even got around to their renewals on these tenancies, because once they start to get to that, you're going to start to see that negative cash flow drop as well. But I love the fact that what you spoke about is that, look, some of these guys bought these at $450,000, $500,000 all day long. They're worth $650,000, $700,000, $800,000 now. I mean, why would you sell that? Why wouldn't you just pay the $400 a month? Call it $500 for argument's sake. So it's $6,000. Let's just say you have to bite that bullet for a couple of years. That's at $12,000 that you're eating, the negative cash flow. But what are you making into your actual right pocket? If $12,000 is leaving your left pocket for 2 years, I mean, on the low end, and
that's not speculation. It's not like we're promoting the principles of real estate are positive cash flow real estate. Let's not kid ourselves.
For sure.
But when we're talking about Vancouver and Toronto, there is another reality, whether it's principled or not. When you know the numbers to be 100% a housing crisis, not a housing shortage, a housing crisis, where there is 6 people for each freaking unit, man. So whether it's cash flow positive or negative, if you want to be a righteous, disciplined in all the things real estate investor, by all means do. Don't look at Toronto. But there are millions of people who do. And those are the people we speak to. Right now, we speak to the principal investor all day long. Buy and hold, sound, cash flowing positive real estate. But if you want to own Toronto real estate, unfortunately, principled and righteous real estate investing does not apply here. The cap rates are too small and the interest rates are too high. So if you want to go for capital, sorry, go ahead, Jesse.
No, sorry, I was going to say you can go outside in terms of area, but
yes,
what I think you're losing is the protection, for a lack of a better word, knowing that people are going to continuously come here, and your money, it's what the bigger, what you said, that us not being economists. And you know what I think we've done really, really well, and it's not to toot our own horn, it's hopefully so somebody who's watching takes on this type of strategy, is we just watch what people with hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars have. What are they doing? Why do they invest into the Torontos and the Vancouvers of the world? Because they know that their money's kind of safe here. They're not looking to get the 20% year over year increase. They'll take it, but that's not what they're banking on. They're banking on 3%. It's can I get 3% year over year of appreciation? And I know that the mortgage is going to get paid down. Yeah, I actually think that's the most basic way to make money in real estate. The way to look at it is okay, is my values going to go up, as well as do I have consistent flow of tenants that are going to bring down the mortgage every single month? Yeah, a little bit more now is going towards interest, but you got to go through those dips. And I think that's what we've done well, which is look at where are people where's all these guys putting their money? And it always kind of comes back to, in our country anyways, it always comes back to the Toronto and the Vancouvers. Now, when you look at Vancouver and Toronto, I still think there's more people coming into the GTA. In fact, the numbers are the numbers, right? 50% of people who come into the country, they do come into the GTA. And so maybe there's another 25 that go to Vancouver, or 30%, and then the rest kind of spread across the country. But that's how we kind of invest, man. We look at where are these people who have massive research crews and crack teams, and what are they looking at, and then where are they actually putting their money, and we just kind of follow suit.
Well, and we just we have the evidence over the last almost 2 decades to support it. If anybody has questions, or if anybody is confused by what we said, for me to give you 2 simple sentences: do we promote the purchase of negative cash flowing real estate? No. Do we promote diversity across one's portfolio, inclusive of tertiary markets where the cash flows are in the positive, as well as markets with high and strong and logical capital appreciation. Yes, that is our mantra. We like the combination and diversity of both. I can speak to 75% of our clients who have bought real estate with us are multi-transactional, meaning they've bought in both income properties, actual resale income properties outside the Toronto, inside the Toronto area, but also pre-construction projects that they know are by transit, by hospitals, by employment nodes, by shopping and lifestyle nodes. So if anybody feels they want some support, please tune in and support Tyler's show every third Sunday, which will tell you real people, not coached people. You want to come on? You want to be the devil's advocate? Come on the show. Share your story. But if you are looking for data, info@reccanada.com. Any question you might have, any contribution or feedback, we welcome it. Jazzy?
Well, I mean, let's close off on the bill, the new bill that came out. I think that's very important. In fact, we had a guest speaker come in, like a dear friend of REC Canada, Mr. Darren Voro. Some of you will know him from HGTV. Some of you know him from his own investor group that he has, an education company that he has as well. He's been involved with so many in the past. Just an amazing guy, but first and foremost, an investor himself, just like us. This past week on Tuesday night, we had a packed house, standing room only, 65, 70 people. We actually sold out on that event. It was free. Maybe that has something to do with it, or maybe it was the wine and the catered event, the food that we had.
That was really good, huh?
We
upped the game. Awesome. We upped the game once again on the food. Everybody listening, maybe you should make an appearance.
Big shout out to Tina Kevorkian, who has a catering company.
Kevor Kevorkian.
And Kevor as well, obviously. They catered it, but we had him come and speak about the new bill. Why don't you touch on it for a couple of minutes? And for everybody who wants to see the recording, that recording will be up and emailed to everybody. So make sure you're getting our emails, because right now we're live on Facebook and on YouTube. So we don't know if you're getting our emails. Put in that, just send an email to info@reccanada.com and say, I want to make sure that I get your future emails. You'll get the recording of that event that we did. And we have investors out and about right now looking for multiplexes, looking for properties that can be turned in to multiplexes where really all the white space and the opportunity lies.
Yeah, so I asked everyone today to grab one of the Globe and Mail just put out an article. We're not in it, but it's really well written and it gives a comprehensive review of the legislation. I was just reading it this morning. So what Bill 23, for anybody who has not heard, it allows the Yellow Belt, that entire East York, North York, Etobicoke zone outside the core, which is called, formerly known as the Yellow Belt, which is all single-family residential, to become de facto, by right, multiplex. Meaning anybody, they're calling it the citizen developer, they're calling it the mom and pop developer. I like the citizen developer, one of the councilors coined it, and it's a good one because it's true. It allows me and you to take the bungalow that we live in, the home that we live in, the investment property that would otherwise be a flip or a reno or a buy and hold, to become a fourplex. Perhaps a fourplex with a garden suite.
Can't you go up to 5? No, but can't you? Can't the one? Does it have to be a garden suite?
It depends. That's the tricky one. There's still some definition to it. So this bill has passed, so it's happening, but it has not been enacted yet. So we're still with probably the fall, maybe the new year. They're waiting to make sure all the details are kind of put in a basket properly, and they're going to roll it out. But all of us are in mass anticipation. And the reason is simple. You're going to create, they're saying maybe they should put one of the units to be affordable housing. There's going to be complications and there's going to be evolution to it. They're trying to make our city better. But by right, you're going to be able to 4x the city. So this is not going to solve anything short term, but it will solve massive problems long term. And as investors, this is welcome news.
And you might not know this off the top of your head, Simos, but if you read that article, is it only in Toronto right now? So I can't do this in other places.
Ontario.
Ontario. That's what I thought. Yeah. Because you were speaking about like the East York. Like you mentioned certain areas kind of only in Toronto, but I also thought it was, making sure that.
So not only is it Ontario, so the way this is going to roll out is municipalities that adopt it. So this is the shutdown NIMBYism. Mm-hmm. So every time, so let's say I bought a house on the Queensway or any street. The minute I make an application to the committee for a change, the letter goes out to all the neighbors impacted in the radius. All those neighbors, absolutely. I want a fourplex, a triplex. I don't want this. I don't want that. I want my life to be the same. Well, F you, buddy. No more of that. I have to buy it, carry it for 2 years just to prove how I'm helping the city? No, thank you. You're done. Your days of terror to all the NIMBYers is over. It's time for real progress. It's time to solve the insanity of expectation to pay $3,000 in rent for a 2-bedroom. F off. Yeah,
but now look. So somebody has, and really quickly because I got to jump off. But somebody has a bungalow. Okay, they can rent it for $3,000. Now they're going to build 5 units there. Okay.
Yeah.
They build 5 units. They're not going to necessarily go drop each of those 1 bedrooms to $2,000.
But hopefully they do. So again, supply and demand. If we're able to, so the point here is instead of Jazz who has money, for example, renting a bungalow at $7,000 a month, you're going to make a multiplex and get 3 Simeons that make intermediate money paying $2,500 each.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So, and the more that happens, the more that 2,500 solidifies as opposed to going to 3 and 32 and 35. It will over time, just like anything. But at least you're creating that housing that more people can live beside that beautiful park.
I agree, brother. I mean, we need more housing periods, and this is a definitely a step in the right direction.
Yes.
It's definitely a step in the right direction. I don't know how much it's going to obviously bring more properties on the market. It doesn't really touch on that because, I mean, I'm not going to sell now. In that same example, I'm going to build my 5 units. I mean, I'm not going to sell the property, right? So I don't know if it touches on that, but definitely it's going to help affordability.
It does. So I'll just say, like, this brings different issues. As we've said before, we'll say it again. Toronto real estate, you mentioned the security of it earlier. This is what you call blue chip real estate. It's what people will lose money for all day just to own it. And the reason is because it will always appreciate no matter what, unless there is a war or catastrophe, in which case we're all done anyways. So I don't want to talk nonsense. So real estate in Toronto and in the GTA is getting commoditized. Just like you go to Manhattan and there is not a single moment in your mind that you thought you're buying real estate in Manhattan. You thought you're going to go find an apartment to rent. That's because the majority of that real estate is owned by corporations and REITs. You can't buy it because they've bought it. And it gets traded like a stock. It actually has become a stock. It's commoditized. When a REIT buys and the REIT is publicly traded, that real estate is now a stock. So whether you like it, you don't like it, you're for it or against it. I know a couple of years ago during the pandemic, that company wanted to buy 5,000 single residential homes. Like, you hear it all the time. People don't like to compete with a REIT. I wouldn't either. But this is the reality of a capitalist market.
Yep.
So
you can't even get in. You can't compete against a REIT. I mean,
to anybody out there listening, if you own a bungalow in the city, call us. We're looking for partners.
Or if you're actually thinking about selling it, we might just buy it. Simos, I gotta rush. I got something here. All right, to everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're watching the recording, make sure, because if you're watching the recording, you can actually press stop and stop this recording. Email us at info@reccanada.com. Let us know what other topics, and if you want to speak to Tyler and actually document your story, we're more than happy to have you on. Guys, have yourself an amazing weekend. Simos, Nikki, love you guys. Thank you.
Love you, homie. Bye-bye. Bye.